Good evening, everyone. Most of us don't think twice when we pull out a smartphone, tap a button, and a car appears, as if by magic. That's the experience of ordering an Uber, something millions of people do every week across the United States. It's easy to forget how new all of this is. In scarcely more than a decade, mobile apps like Uber have become a taken-for-granted part of everyday life, whether it's figuring out directions, communicating with friends and loved ones, reading the news, finding a job, or finding a date. Mobile apps have become a nearly unavoidable mediator of everyday life. How did all of this happen? And why? Where's all this going? Should we be worried? My dissertation in cultural anthropology looks at the rise of Uber in New York City as a specific case study to understand the transformation of our world by digital technologies. While Uber would have us focus on the experience of the consumer, I went behind the screen to examine the world of work and the lives of drivers, who make the seeming magic of rideshare apps possible. I was what my fellow anthropologists call a participant observer in this world for 6 years, starting out as education director of a nonprofit serving drivers, and through short stints as a rideshare driver myself. Through those experiences, as many of us know, I learned that drivers are suffering. In New York City, Uber generates billions in gross profit every year, while a 91% immigrant workforce of over 80,000 drivers barely survives. Sometimes drivers don't survive. One of my tasks at the labor NGO I worked for was to set up a suicide prevention program because 9 drivers took their own lives. My dissertation research asks the question, what is the alternative? Does technology have to lead to deadly inequalities of wealth and power? Or can technology and the businesses that deploy it be organized on a different logic for the social good? That question can only be answered in practice, which is why from 2019 to 2023, I worked with drivers to launch a new rideshare platform owned by drivers as a co-op, with the mission of helping drivers build wealth. This is what social scientists call participatory action research, which means working with people who are impacted by a problem to develop a solution. This experiment generated some interesting results. The co-op recruited over 12,000 drivers, 160,000 riders, and generated over $12 million in revenue in its first 3 years of operation. It became evident that driver ownership changed all the incentives, giving our small team a mandate not to enrich outside investors, but instead to innovate to meet the needs of drivers for a stable livelihood. One of our innovations was the creation of a $30 an hour living wage guarantee, the first of its kind in the gig economy. We were also able to win introduction of legislation for a just green transition of the industry to wheelchair-accessible and electric vehicles. The co-op has gone through its ups and downs, but it holds lessons that go beyond this one case study. It is possible for technology to be deployed for the social good and for businesses to benefit not just a handful of billionaires, but to lift up entire communities. Our society is in a moment of transformation. Many of us fear for the worse. My hope is that my research can provide at least a sliver of hope. There is resistance, and there are signs that we can materialize a much different and much better world.